Ani, Bojo, Kwe, Tanzi, Scano. Greetings. It's Catherine and Brian from Moonstarlodge in South Central Ontario, Georgian Bay area, bringing you our Indigenous perspective on all things metaphysical, and this week's reading, which is Tarot and Oracle, as it usually always is, comes to you for the week of April 27th through to May the 3rd. Like that feels like almost half the year of 2026 is gone. But anyway, we're in the fifth moon cycle of Listening Woman still at this point. And actually during this week on May the 1st, we have a full moon, meaning halfway through her moon cycle. So the cards I've chosen this week reflect a kind of a difference. I've never used the Barbara Walker Tarot, and yet she's a very renowned expert on feminist history and tarot. And I actually got to know her more through the knitting world because she was a knitting expert. And so I have some of her volumes of work in that regard. Merging two of my great loves, knitting and tarot, with one grand poobah like Barbara Walker has been quite delightful. Anyway, that being said, I'm using that as the principal tarot this week. It has only ever come, as far as I know, as a mini deck in a tin, and it's still available through US Games. She just transitioned recently, and so it's a bit of an homage to her, and the sense that shaking things up. It's spring, so we got to get some of the soil off our heads and burst through and begin to bloom, so to speak. I have some shadow cards that seem to be part of it, still with the Eidolon Redden themed shadow work, but I've got an archetype deck by Kim Kranz, and the Mystical Moments duo, and my lovely skeletons, and a weird little deck on daydreams that seem to be more scary than daydreams usually are. Anyway, all that being said, let's go to the cards, Brian. So here are the 7 Barbara Walker Tarot, and here are the clarifiers. So we start with the 6 of Swords. This is our significator card for the week, and it's the Sphinx, interestingly, in her deck. But it's a rite of passage. This is one of these, I think they're the death boats of the pharaohs, but it harkens back to a time when that plane was actually covered in water. Anyway, it is a passage. It's a passage, and the Sphinx here is looking up toward the sky. Usually the 5s in the minors reflect some kind of catastrophic, difficult thing, and this is the card that says we've moved through it and we are on the other side of that. We're learning and we're seeing our traumatic time, whatever it was, from a different perspective. So this is a reasonable card because every one of us, whatever we're moving through, is going to be different, even though this is a collective reading. What's interesting is the ancestor card is the 9 of Rings, which in this deck, the rings are the pentacles. That's having plenty, being thankful and grateful for what we do have, coming out of the other side of whatever this is. We have been gifted, and we are shining. We are golden, as it were, coming through, having faced whatever this passage brought us to the other side. Being able to see the bigger picture is so important. So, so important. Moving to the next card, which is the Princess of Pentacles, and this is Nimue. This princess is all about learning the esoteric traditions and seeing the past, where she has evolved from. It's a learning. The princess here is like the page in a Rider-Waite deck. Or the princess in a Thoth deck. This is about learning and keeping the traditions going and understanding that where we've been in the past predicates and informs who we are in the present. And it's clarified here by the Major Arcana card, Justice. Justice and balance are the order of the day. And like most cards, no matter what system, Justice isn't necessarily blind in this card, but she is wielding a sword. Very much like the Queen of Swords, only with the sense of clarity. She's sitting on a higher perspective, looking down on the princess. So it's important that what we learn about our past and the sacred arts, whatever you practice, whether it's healing like Reiki or therapeutic touch, or whether it's cartomancy, or whether, you know, it's pendulum work, whatever it is, we need to understand where we've been and how we bring that into the future to create a sense of balance and justice, not only in our lives, but in the world. Because no matter what we think and do, we're projecting that into the world, and those energies create ripples and impact a lot more people than we will ever know. The Two of Swords is balance, seeking peace. We've had that card a lot in the past few months, I notice. This is similar to the Rider-Waite imagery, where the woman is turning her back to the emotional water element and sitting with arms crossed, seeking no external information, just simply sitting in peace and finding her way. It's very similar in a sense to this Passage card. We've moved through a rough spot, and now we are basking in the understanding and the gained wisdom. And that's kind of what this Balance and Peace card suggests here. So we are coming into peace or balance. It's clarified here by the Knight of Swords. Another sword dangling above the head of our lady here. So this is a take no guff, take no prisoners, just swiftly removing. There's a protective stance here from this knight. He's removing anything which could interfere with the peace, the balance that's in this card. So we need to know that we have, you know, external spiritual resources, be they ancestors, angels, guides, teachers, avatars, the Creator, Great Mystery, Wankantanka. We are being protected. Our balance and our peace is being protected. The Prince of Wands shows up down here, and the Prince is very much about wild stuff happening, the unexpected, the unprecedented. He's sitting at the altar here of Dagon, who is half animal, half person, holds both fire and water elements, the sun and the moon, in fullness and egress. So this is about looking for the unexpected, looking for a swerve in a good way, knowing that our bases are covered. And again, this is a supported card. It's clarified by the trickster. And the trickster here is one of the extra cards in the this deck here, the Tarot Chimera. So there are a few extra cards which people wouldn't get in a regular deck. The trickster can be an external trickster. The trickster can be an internal foe, in a sense, because we have to be careful that others are not trying to trick us out of our experiences or suppress our experiences. This is where the shadow work comes in. Are we shutting down the potential for experiences before we even have them? Is somebody else trying to, dim our light and keep us from moving on or doing something else? So the trickster can be internal within ourselves or external from somebody who has learned how to manipulate us. So just make sure that you're having the experiences that are unexpected, and that's a sign of growth, reaching and looking at the full spectrum of things and not just shutting it down before it can happen, and assuming you know what will happen. Don't let that be either an internal or external trickster. The Four of Swords in the Barbara Walker deck is seclusion, complete withdrawal and seclusion. Again, this is another card that we've had an awful lot the last few weeks. Four of Swords for rest and peace. There was a week here a couple weeks ago where I got that card from different decks that I was using for my own personal draws. I think I got it 5 times in 8 days. I couldn't believe it. It's a time to withdraw, not in the way we withdraw in the winter. We need to be out in the sun and the energy of light and growth, but we need to do this to get past fatigue, past staleness, sluggishness, and all of that. So it's a withdrawal. It's resting to build up our strength to do new things. Resting becomes the bridge. The bridge is what we will cross to have these new adventures that are being spoken of to a degree here, especially these unprecedented experiences. The bridge may be taking us to a place of love, love of self, self-acceptance, love of another, but it's new, burgeoning, beginning relationship. And that could be feeling love for the world, feeling love for the earth. We've just had Earth Day. So there's a sense of something incubating. So resting will allow this to incubate. It's clarified by home in the sky. This can be wanderlust. Wanderlust can come when there's a not willing to accept that we're dissatisfied with what's going on in our own home here on Earth. So, this is the creating chaos so we don't have to think about how we deal with what's in our present lives. So we want to move, we want to go on a trip, we want to get married, we want to do, it's seeking diversion sometimes. But it's also deeply a sense that we are at home within ourselves, wherever we are. We can do things and change things up and be okay with it. The last card in the deck is the Hermit. There he is again. This is my personal card. So the Hermit is seeking wisdom. It's a bit like this card, seeking wisdom and balance and understanding. This is a card seeking knowledge. This is a card of the knowledge gained after experience. Well, here we have the Hermit looking back on the week and seeing knowledge, and he's clarified here by the archetype of the Pilgrim. The Pilgrim is exactly the same kind of a being as the Hermit. The Pilgrim is looking for knowledge, seeking spiritual awareness, and does so typically alone. Their journey for seeking externally is movement to other places, sometimes even other countries. But to be the Pilgrim is an archetype of seeking. And so that's what we are to do, even if we don't step one foot outside the door. Just don't really, don't just use AI, because that isn't necessarily the right knowledge. The old googly Wikipedia thing. So this obviously, the Pilgrim is clarifying the Hermit. Anyway, you can flip the camera, Brian. So this is an interesting week because the the full moon is almost dead center in the week. Illusion comes from the moon, and we have this trickster card here. Basically, we are stepping back. We are pulling back and reassessing with all these cards and taking time to have some secluded space and be alone with our thoughts and our processing. So it's a great week for that. It's still a little early to be out in the gardens and still a little cold, rainy for that. So we have time to process, and we have time to find a balance with our nature spirits. We can be outside, but yeah, it's important to find peace and make sure we really shed the shadows, the shadow parts of self. They create repetitive cycles where we feel stuck if we don't. Anyway, please, please, please subscribe if you haven't. It costs nothing, but it helps our channel, which has basically stopped growing. It helps tremendously if you do that. It helps Google decide to share us with other pages. Hit the like button for this video if you did in fact like it. Leave us a comment. That also helps the algorithm, and I appreciate those steadfast people who pretty much every week leave us a comment. And we really appreciate your support through the Ko-fi platform, or an e-transfer or PayPal or anything like that. That really helps us to be able to continue the cost and time and effort to bring these readings. And that works if they are of value to you. Anyway, from Brian and I, we wish you a wild and happy full moon, and be at peace. Aho.